For the people playing Fallout 76, there is a lot of hype and apprehension over the new Wastelanders DLC. Many people question if this add-on will live up to all of its promises. At the end of the Wastelanders reveal trailer, they set the bar pretty high by saying there was going to be newly added human NPCs, a new main quest, choice and consequences, and new weapons and gear. This obviously all sounds great, but something that it doesn't mention is the fact that the game world is also getting an overhaul. So in this video, we're going to go over some of the locations that are going to be touched by this update, and show how they will be changed, and take a look at what they look like now, so when this highly anticipated update finally comes out, we will be able to look back for posterity's sake and see what is going on in these soon-to-be changed locations to see if we can get any hints about future content. As of now, the main source of information on new and changing locations is from the Wastelanders E3 trailer, so that's where we will start. In the very first new location that we see an NPC standing in front of a yellow house with a biplane sitting in the back. If we head just north of Vault 76, up Highway 90, we can find Anchor Farm, probably the first place that you will visit when this update goes live. Named for the large anchor placed in the driveway, this location will be soon converted into a base for the new faction, the Settlers. If we head to that location now, we can find a few things. Out front, we can see a military IFV parked in the driveway. Moving towards the house, we can see an increasing amount of dead military bodies. It almost looks like the military was rushing this house while taking fire. If we look up on the roof, we can see a small barricade where this fire may have been coming from. Unfortunately, there isn't much here to elaborate. If we head out back, we can see the biplane we saw in the trailer. Curiously, if we head further back, we can find what looks like some sort of mass grave that looks like it was supposed to be obscured by this hay pile. There are several changes coming to this location, some small like the cooking spit that will be in the backyard, and some bigger like the fortifications we see on the roof. It also looks like they will be opening up the house. Right now the doors and windows are boarded up, and we can see clearly in the trailer that there will be an all-new interior to this house. But as of now, those are all the details we have. Moving far up northeast, we can go to the crashed space station. This entire area will be soon converted into a raider camp called Crater. This distinctive donut-shaped space station can actually trace its roots to previous Fallout games, where space stations like this were described in great detail. Unlike the location's name suggests, this was most likely a ballistic orbital missile base instead of a space station. Up to 24 nuclear bombs were stationed here along with 6 long-term astronauts that would fire them at any notice. Although we don't know why this specific station crashed, other stations were brought down by asteroids. Looking through the wreckage, we can find a few interesting things. First, sitting in a broken strut to the core of the space station, we can find skeletons in lab coats. And if we look a little bit closer, we can see that they are in fact Vault-Tec scientists. What would Vault-Tec be doing here? Were they on the space station when it crashed? Or were they here after the crash, sifting through the debris like we are? Sitting next to the skeletons, we can find an inventory list. Valiant Space Station. Here we get an airlock access code, and here we can see that we're going to find spacesuits, helmets, and oxygen tanks. We will have to find airlock C7. Moving to the other side of the station, we can find a door locked with a keypad. Entering the code that we got from the note, the door will open. 111418. Inside, we find a steamer trunk and 2 spacesuits and space helmets. These are a great little reward for exploring this location, and the only place in the game where you can find them. If we look at some teaser images from the Crater Raider camp, we can see that they have excavated the core and turned it onto its side. So it looks like we will finally be able to enter the core and see what's inside. There's a bit of extra flavor text for this Raider faction found on Bethesda's website. The Raiders are no strangers to Appalachia. At one time, they even called it home. After they caught wind that people were returning to the land they once claimed for themselves, the raiders and their leader, Meg, decided to come back and put a stop to anyone who would dare snatch up their rightful territory. They've set up a rather formidable base of operations at the crashed space station they call Crater, and outsiders who drop by unannounced aren't going to get a warm welcome. If you're looking to arrange an introduction to Meg and her gang, you will need to be crafty. Moving on to another big overhaul project, Spruce Knob is going to transform into a settler camp called Foundation. If we head there now, we can find a few things. First, we see a proudly hoisted Brotherhood flag adjacent to the tower. We can assume that Taggarty and her squad mates were here at some point. Down in Spruce Knob Lake, we can find their hiding hole, where they waited out the nukes. I have a whole video on that. I will have it linked in the description below and in the cards above. Heading up, we find robots occupying the elevated observation platform. Looking around, we see an impressive assortment of junk, but nothing that really relates to this location's story. If we look at some of the teaser images of Foundation, we can see big changes coming to this location. We see a huge fortification wall placed just outside the main tower, and in fact we can see the tower in relation to the wall in one of the images. Other than that, we don't see much more other than a few smaller added buildings. But if we head down the hill to Spruce Knob Lake, we can find an interesting holotape of an encounter between two raider factions preparing to raid the Brotherhood-controlled Spruce Knob Tower. Impromptu raider meeting.
Hey. Put the gun down. We're here to talk.
Fine.
You repping the cutthroats?
Maybe. Who's asking?
Name's Repo. I'm repping the diehards.
Frank. So, what's this all about?
It's about survival. Our gangs are getting picked off one by one.
Yeah, by other gangs. That's how things work.
The hell with that. We're dying out here. All of Appalachia's trying to kill us, and it's got nothing to do with turf or loot.
You talking about the gourmands? those idiots ate each other to death.
Not just the gourmands, but the Blackwater bandits, the trappers, hell, all of us.
Yeah. It's a rough world. I get it. So what's your point?
My point is, we need to band together, okay? Watch each other's backs. If we don't, we might just end up disappearing.
What's in it for us?
Staying alive? Do you understand what I'm saying, or are you too stupid?
Don't ever say that to me again.
This is what I'm talking about. Pointing that gun at me again is not going to solve anything.
Yeah, it will. It'll get you to shut the hell up. What the hell? He killed Repo? Shoot him! Shoot him!
It sounds like the raider factions were extremely hostile toward each other. We can assume Meg will bring together the warring raider factions in order to form a more powerful single group. There is a little flavor text for Foundation. Led by Paige, the former head of a construction workers union in Washington, D.C., the settlers are a hardworking and industrious crew, primarily made up of people who are well-versed in how to construct and run a city. After hearing that Appalachia may offer some refuge from the trials of the Wasteland, they made their way to the area in hopes of finding a safe place to begin rebuilding. They broke ground at Spruce Knob, began repurposing its existing buildings, cleared the surrounding trees, and a fledgling city began taking shape, which they've dubbed Foundation. These settlers may know their way around construction equipment, but they have no idea what challenges you and others faced in Appalachia during the past year. It may be mutually beneficial to sneak them out to share their experiences and lend a helping hand toward their efforts. There will also be a few other smaller locations that we know will be changing, like the Kanawha County Cemetery, where one of the churches will be transformed by some infectious roots. I'm hoping for a good Mothman or Interloper story here. Widow's Perch will also be transforming into a raider base, along with Rollins' work camp. There will also be large additions underground, like the Spruce Knob Cavern and the Watoga Underground. We don't know much about these additions, but putting everything together, I think we can start to assume that Wastelanders is going to change the game in many ways. NPCs, choice and consequences, new gear and weapons, along with a drastically changed game world. Alright guys, that's all I have on the updated map for Wastelanders. I hope everybody enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure to like and subscribe. It really helps out the channel. Also consider following me on Twitter. It's the best place for me to keep in contact with you guys. But anyway, this has been Woodgen TV. Thanks for watching, guys.